Simplicity is not wasting energy on shit which doesn't need to be done.
I know myself many times, and I waste energy, I waste time, I waste focus on the things that A, don't serve me, or B, don't bring me joy.
We can be really overwhelmed, particularly in this day and age where there is just 24-hour distractions everywhere. We had this life which was really light and free, and we felt agile and we could do what we want, move fast and all this kind of thing. And then we had all of this stuff turn up, and all of a sudden it was a weight and it was holding us back.
Eliminate all of those things. That same principle also applies to decisions that we make in business, some of the decisions we make personally. We end up adding things that bring a weight and a heaviness to us.
Choose your high achiever, whether it be athletes like Michael Phelps, they just focus really, really well on what they do best. The next question becomes, is the prize worth the price? So I know I'm going to have to make some changes. I know there's going to be a little bit more complexity here. I know I'm going to have to change some things, but
Welcome to Profit Made Simple. Today we have a returning guest, someone that many of you will be familiar with, the one and only Kevin Fraser. Welcome back, mate.
Mate, awesome. Always great to be back.
Mate, last episode was an absolute banger. It was all on revenue layers. We're getting some immense feedback from that already. And today we've got quite the contrast, don't we?
We're pretty much going to the opposite side. Last time we did all about adding new things to the business, adding revenue layers. Today it's all about simplicity.
Okay. And now I want to make it very clear we are not contradicting ourselves.
Nope.
They are not mutually exclusive principles, and we will dive into that. But you and I have known each other for quite some time now.
Yes.
Almost 2 decades. A long time.
Yeah. We both look the same as well, haven't aged at all.
Exactly the same, not a day. And you have embraced, your lifestyle has changed a lot. You've embraced this lifestyle of minimalism. And it's born in that simplicity philosophy. So I want to ask you, where'd that shift occur? Why did it occur? And how does your life look differently as a result?
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess it all started about 15 years ago, almost 15 years ago. I had the opportunity to go and live in Japan. For an extended period, I spent almost 3 years in Japan, and there was a lot of things which changed my life, turned my life upside down in so many incredible ways. But in regards to simplicity and a little bit of minimalism, I remember Maria and I, we were living here in Sydney, and we had the unit and we had all of our furniture and everything that we had, and we were set up really, really well. And all of a sudden, we just had to up and move over to Tokyo. So we were packing up the whole unit where we were living, and it was just a matter of, okay, we've got to sell some things. We're going to give some things away. We're going to put some things in storage. And when we went over to Japan, it took us a couple of weeks and we found an apartment and we literally had nothing. We had 2 suitcases. We had the clothes that we needed. I think we got a blow-up mattress and a doona, and that was about it. We were in this apartment in Tokyo and there was nothing. We had no furniture. And I've got to say, it was awesome. Like, we absolutely loved it. So we did that for, probably a week or so, and we realized can't live like this forever. We've got to get some furniture. We've got to get some things. We've got to get a bed. We've got to get a fridge. We've got to get a lounge. But everything that we bought at that point was really intentional. So we didn't just go out and buy a whole heap of shit. We said, okay, what do we really need here? And it came down to the point of, okay, we need a bed, we're going to grab that. We need a fridge, we're going to grab that. We need a pot, we need a pan. I think we bought like 4 plates, 4 bowls, 4 knives, forks, spoons, things like this. And we only bought what we specifically needed. And we basically brought it down to 2 things. These were the criteria. Does it serve a purpose, or does it bring us great joy?
Okay, so you filtered everything through those 2 questions.
Yes.
And do you still filter everything today through those 2 questions?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay.
So I look at the things which I've got in our house at the moment, and I'm always sort of looking around, you know what, is this still serving a purpose for us? Is this still bringing us great joy? Great. If it does, awesome. It stays. If it doesn't, you know what, maybe we don't need this anymore. One of the things which also happened in Japan was we got to this point after a couple of months, we had everything that we needed. We loved everything that we had. And then we got a delivery, which we'd kind of forgotten about. And I think it was 18 boxes.
Wow.
Which we'd actually shipped over.
So you'd made this adjustment. You liked your minimalist life.
Loved it.
And then 18 boxes filled. I would predict a very small apartment in Tokyo.
A very small apartment, about a quarter of the size of the apartment that we had in Sydney. But what actually happened, we got these, I think it was 18 boxes which turned up, and automatically we just felt this weight on top of us. It was like a visceral weight. It was like, oh, jeez. Like it was really, really tough. And I felt that it was weighing us down and it was holding us back because we had this life which was really light and free, and we felt agile and we could do what we want and move fast and all this kind of thing. And then we had all of this stuff turn up, and all of a sudden it was a weight and it was holding us back. And we thought, do we really need this stuff? And I remember we were opening these boxes, and there was a box there, it was my kitchen stuff. We opened it up, there was all this stuff which we just didn't need. Not only did we not need it, we didn't want it. I mean, I remember opened up the box, there was 6 wooden spoons. Like,
who needs 6 wooden spoons?
What the hell do I need 6 wooden spoons for?
It's really interesting. I want to go back to what you just said because it just really landed for me right then. It was really heavy and it was holding us back.
Yeah.
And we're talking in the context of physical items at that point in time. But I believe that same principle also applies to some of the decisions that we make in business, some of the decisions we make personally. And it might not be physical. It might be habits. It might be services. It might be staff. It might be we end up adding things that bring a weight and a heaviness to us.
Yeah.
And it weighs us down.
Yeah. And sometimes we don't even realize it. Sometimes, we'll feel tired. We'll feel weighed down. We hear those terms like, oh, I feel like I've got the weight of the world on my shoulders.
Yes.
So, but you can't really correlate it back to what it is. And in a lot of cases, it is this. And I heard this line many years ago, and it was the mental baggage we carry can directly correlate to the physical baggage that we carry. So if we're just surrounded by a lot of things which don't serve a purpose or don't bring us great joy, they can really weigh on us. So we really have to look at what's around us. So whether it be the physical things, maybe it's the people around us, or maybe it's just the baggage that we're carrying in our head. Okay, what do I have to do here? How do I do this stock take, if you like?
So by you getting lighter, you felt freer. And
very much.
I think the same applies in business and in life. And I'm going to bring this up because I think it's really relevant here, but I've also seen you become not only a minimalist, but I've seen you change your habits dramatically over the last 2 decades. 20 years ago, you weren't embracing fitness, you weren't embracing health. You then went on your own journey. You went over to Japan. You became a yoga teacher. You did some really intensive training. I think you've become much more, for use of a better word, spiritual in the last few years. And I can see that you're letting go of things that don't serve you or don't bring you joy. And so it hasn't just been, all right, I'm only going to have 1 wooden spoon. It's also, I'm not going to drink alcohol anymore.
Yep.
I'm not going to have habits in my life that don't fit those 2 criteria. How hard has that been to let go of something that's just been such a core component of who you are?
As far as difficult, I will say this, it didn't happen overnight. So it's been somewhat of a journey. I mean, as far as the drinking, you and I used to party pretty hard, back in the day.
We used to have some big nights back in the day.
Some of the best nights I've ever had were definitely with you. But in saying that, it came back to to what I think, okay, is this serving a purpose for me? No. It got to the point where, no, I wasn't really enjoying it either. And I just started doing less of it. And
how did you recognize that? How did you create the awareness to go, and I'm not just talking necessarily about the alcohol, right? But just to look inwardly and go, here's some of my practices and habits. How did you create the awareness that they weren't serving you?
I started hanging around some different people. So once again, when I started hanging more around people within the fitness industry, they had some different habits to me. I started reading different books. I started listening to different podcasts, and I wanted to do things which lifted me up a little bit more. Now, I still have friends who, I like to go out with and I party with. I don't drink, but I just look at how do I want to feel tomorrow as well. And this is something which Maria said to me, how you want to feel tomorrow depends on what you do today. And I just wanted to, feel light. I wanted to feel free. I wanted to feel agile. And my habits started to revolve around that. I developed a daily practice. Once again, it didn't happen overnight. It took me a long time to sort of work into this, but I came to the realization, you know what? I want to feel physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially stronger. How do I work on that every day? So I made those kind of changes, started to think a little bit different in that way. And yeah, I just felt I could do more.
Love that. I want to talk about what simplicity isn't, because a lot of the time people will have a misrepresentation and go, well, simple is lazy, right? You're just being lazy at this point in time, or simple is easy.
Yep.
That's not the case, is it?
Simple is definitely not easy. I guess the way I look at it is simplicity is not wasting energy on shit which doesn't need to be done.
Yeah. I think that's huge, because I know myself many times, and still to this day, I waste energy, I waste time, I waste focus on the things that A, don't serve me, or B, don't bring me joy.
Yeah. I think simplicity can also bring us strength as well. It can bring us strength and it can bring us time. So we can be really overwhelmed really easily, particularly in this day and age where there is just 24-hour distractions everywhere. And this comes back to it's not easy, because it's not easy to take ourselves away from those distractions.
Really hard.
In a lot of cases. But if we can and give ourselves time and space, that can actually make us stronger in those areas, physically, mentally, emotionally.
I think it's such a great point there, because I speak to business owners all day, every day. This is what I've done for the last 2 decades. And the level of stress, anxiety, and overwhelm is so high. And that's just because we are just constantly at the beckon of stimulation. And even, we might be running the business, and then in the break that we have, we're scrolling and we're seeing all these people do amazing, great things in business because they've got this curated, glory file on their phone, and all it does is like bring about, questions of insecurity and self-worth, and it's this wicked spiral. Yep. And what I'm hearing from you is simplicity is not easy, because you actually have to end up saying no. You end up having to have boundaries. You need to have clear things on what you won't do as much as what you will do. So it's not easy, but it brings about a great strength. And the strength is now that you're actually giving yourself the time, the space to actually focus and think on the things that matter most.
100%. I think you're exactly right there. With the things that matter the most, take away those distractions. Media is a big one, whether it's mainstream media or whether it be social media. We're up against $1 trillion worth of godlike technology, which just is trying to draw us in. And there's good and bad to it. I totally get that.
Oh, they're very good at it.
They're very, very good at it. But sometimes it's better for us personally, and family to just, how do I give myself time and space out of that? And I'm fascinated by sort of human performance. And I love looking at people who do the best at what they do. Marcus Aurelius, he talks about do less, better.
Yeah.
And I think it's a big takeaway for me. And I look at some of the best people in the world, whether they be in business, whether they be in sport, music, whatnot. I mean, choose your high achiever, whether it be Alex Hormozy or Dan Martell or, friend of the podcast, Bedros Keuilian, David Goggins, athletes like Michael Phelps. What they do, they just focus really, really well on what they do best. So one, they're really clear. They have extraordinary clarity. And then they're really good at taking away distractions and just focusing on what matters. And yeah, I think we can learn a lot from that.
Oh, I think we can. We had Arjun Palawel's been on this podcast. We had him at our last event, and he's building an incredible business in InvestorKit. And he really put it down to, he said that there's one practice, one principle that will define how successful you are, and that's the ability to focus, which is very, very similar, right? Because by simplifying or minimizing your life, you're actually giving yourself the time to focus. Where I have a look, and again, myself included in this, so it's not a judgment, more of an observation, is we are just all over the shop more times than not. Yeah. And we haven't got the practices, the habits, the disciplines, but also what you said, the clarity and going really like, where should I be spending a majority of my time and energy? It is so finite. Where do I need to place that so I can propel myself like many of the high achievers that you discussed? They're no different to you listening to this podcast or watching this podcast, but what they have been able to do is they've been able to get very clear and then have an unrelenting focus on executing what they do best, their strengths.
100%. I think clarity is a really big thing. Like, if you don't know which direction you're going, it doesn't matter which road you take.
That's right.
And I think that's a big thing. So we have to know where we're going. You have to be able to give yourself time and space.
I often think of the Stephen Covey, right? You can be climbing really, really hard and fast, but you want to make sure that you're climbing the ladder on the right wall. Yeah. And the clarity is really going, all right, what is that wall and what does that look like? So simplicity is clarity. I think that's a component of it. Yeah. Second thing is you've got to give yourself time and space. And I talk a little about this, just giving yourself white space. And, another friend of the podcast and a real mentor of mine and friend is Craig Ballantyne.
Yep.
And he just says too often we are just filling ourselves with just distractions or media or noise.
Yep.
And he's like, you got to step away from that. And that's been really true for me. Even the other day I went, I've got Sydney Marathon next week. And I went out for my run, and rather than put my earbuds in for another podcast, if you're listening to Fitness, Profit Made Simple, you should be listening to that. But I just went, what? I'm going to put them back in. I'm just going to just be, right? I'm just going to yes, I'm running and I need to kind of focus on putting one foot in front of the other, but I'm just going to give myself space. And I don't think as a society we give ourselves enough time and space.
I think you're exactly right. And yeah, I definitely would encourage that. Like if you're going out for a walk, if you're going out by yourself, something like that, try and take away that distraction, because it's so easy to put in like the earbuds and be, listening to a podcast, and I'm a big fan of that. But sometimes we just need to have space in our own head. And then that's when the creativity comes.
Oh, man.
That's when we start to get the best ideas.
Yeah, the level of insight I get like, so when you see a writing piece from me, it's usually after I've given myself that space and I'm just like, all the synapses are connecting and I'm just like, woo, like it's beautiful mind stuff. Like I start seeing the world very, very differently. So that's very important. I know the next principle for you is, and you've talked about this, eliminate all that is not serving. And that comes in like, so I want people to think about this is, yes, there's physical things that might not be serving you. So in your case, it was like, I don't need the 6 spoons. It might be habits. For you, it was drinking. It might be people. Maybe people that, bring, maybe they bitch and bemoan or victim mindset or whatever it is that just kind of weigh you down. So it's eliminate all of those things.
Yeah. So, and this can be the physical things. It can be people in our life. We've all heard the term like energy vampires and things like that.
Yeah.
So surround yourself, like who are the people who are uplifting you? I'm a big fan of the saying, surround yourself with people who want you to succeed. So, surround yourself with those kind of people, but then also like look at your business as well. Okay, what is working really well in the business? What isn't working well? What can be eliminated? Maybe it's going through the gym. There might be equipment in there which you're just not using anymore and your clients aren't using. Well, do I really need this? What's the reason that I'm keeping this? Is this holding me down? Is this holding me back? Maybe it might be some systems within the business. Maybe the systems need to be reviewed, because businesses evolve. And we also evolve, once again, physically, mentally. What's working for us? What's not working for us? And then if it's not working, let's look at that elimination process.
Yeah, I can really speak to this from a business perspective. We eliminated one of our programs at the end of last year, and it's just like everything's easier as a result. Delivery is easier, sales is easier, onboarding's easier, less stress on my actual team. And people would have looked at that and gone, well, that's bringing you income. And it's like, well, I think it's adding an unnecessary complexity, right? Even some of the ways that we've marketed, we've eliminated. So, we used to do a lot of Facebook Lives every week, for example. And it's just like, well, it's no longer working. Do we do it because we've always done it? Or are we going to stop doing it because it's no longer serving us?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And going back to like the last podcast that we did when we spoke about like adding new revenue layers and things like this, we need to do this with intention. So if we are going to do things and, I look at things from the lens of, is this going to add more simplicity or is this going to add more complexity? And sometimes there's going to be times where we are going to have to add something which is going to increase complexity, whether it be, business, family, things like that. I mean, you've got 3 kids. You know that when you add kids to a family, it just adds more complexity.
It's chaos.
Right? So then, and same with business, if we're going to add another revenue layer, which is what we've spoken about previously, we have to do it with intention. But also the next question becomes, is the prize worth the price? So I know I'm going to have to make some changes. I know there's going to be a little bit more complexity here. I know I'm going to have to change some things, but is the overall prize going to be worthwhile?
I love that.
You're going to add kids to a family. You would say, for the most part, yeah, the prize
depends on the day you ask me.
Exactly. But overall, the prize is going to be worth the price.
Yes.
And same thing with the business, with adding those extra revenue layers. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit more complexity, but is the prize going to be worth it?
Such a good question. Opportunity cost is a very real principle. So, we are always taking from somewhere else. And so is it worth that price? And I don't think enough business owners ask themselves that question. And that's why they end up creating these really like chaotic businesses. So fantastic question. What else do we need to know about simplicity? Because I'm sure this is resonating and connecting with a lot of our audience right now.
I think we need to just make those have those intentional questions. Ask yourself, what do I really need? What do I really want? Is this going to be worth it? Scott Galloway, who I listen to quite a bit, he says, just get the simple things right. And I love that. And I think he's exactly right. And it's things like take care of your health, eat well, train hard, work hard, show some discipline, be punctual, dress well, have integrity, gratitude, show gratitude, and help others. These are simple things. They don't cost a lot of money, if anything. And just get the simple things right. What's simple for you, which is going to make your life more enjoyable? Give yourself a little bit more freedom. Enjoy the lightness that comes with it as well. Stop holding on to things which are holding you back.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I can speak personally. I've let a few things go this year, and more mental, emotional than anything else, right? Some beliefs and letting that has given me a lightness that I haven't felt for a very long time. And life is a lot more enjoyable. Business is growing, better than ever. And so there's a real peace in that. And I encourage everybody to do the same. And I love it. Like, we don't need to complicate this shit, right? It's like Scott Galloway is like, here's the things. Do all those things well. Do the simple things well. We're not asking you to do a naked tribal dance and rub magic stones, right, every morning. It's have integrity, be grateful, help others, be professional, look after your health, sleep better. You do those things and your whole life changes, not only your business.
Your life's going to improve. Your business is going to improve. Your relationships are going to improve.
Absolutely. Love it, mate. Any final words before we wrap this one up?
Have a look at your life. What don't you need? What really lights you up? What serves a purpose for you? And what brings you great joy? Focus on those things.
Yeah. I love those questions. I think they're a fantastic filter. They really are. So if you took nothing else from this episode, just run every decision by those questions. You're going to make better decisions for you and your business. You're going to make decisions that are right for you, not right because you think you should be doing them, or there's a societal pressure, or you feel like you always have to be striving and growing and doing more. It's actually, does it bring me joy?
Yep.
Yeah. And does it add unnecessary complexity? Kevin Frazier, absolutely love this episode. It's been a buzz doing these couple of episodes with you. Thank you very much for sharing, and thank you guys. Thank you for watching, listening to today's episode. I love nothing more than hearing how you have derived benefit from this podcast. It really helps me keep going. I love that people are listening to it. More importantly, I love that it's impacting people. So if you can continue sharing that, I would be forever indebted and grateful. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much.